get the people, to warn the people that it's time to get ready. Shabbat is coming. Good morning, Nathan. Okay, we are on Lamed Hey Amud Beis 35b. We'll start that piece again. Tana Rabbanan. The rabbis taught 35b2, 3 lines from the top. Sheish Tekiyot Tokin Erev Shabbat. There were 7 sounds. If you could send to the group. Yeah. Thank you so much. 6 sounds that they would blow on Erev Shabbat. And Rashi says it was the Tekiah, then the Trua, then Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah. Those are the 6 sounds that were blasted, so to speak. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Okay, so we just started the piece. 6 sounds of the shofar. Rashi says Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua, Tekiah. They were blown on Erev Shabbat. On a Friday, every Friday, there were 6 sounds that were blown to announce that Shabbat is coming, almost coming soon, at a station near you, and each the sound served as certain different messages. Rishonah, the first sound was Lahaftil et ha'am mimlacha shebesadot. That the people should stop working in the fields. Because the fields, people have to get home, the workers got to get home back to the city. So that's the first blow. People get caught up in their jobs. Not everyone had wristwatches back then. Even when you have a wristwatch, you get caught up in things. So you have to go, even though they watch the sun, how far the sun is moving, but that's the first blow. Shnia, the second blow, after a short amount of time, after the first blow with lahaftil, ir l'chaniyot. Time for the people in the city. Got to stop your work in the city. You gotta, you're in the middle of a job. You got to stop it. You got to close the stores. The stores need to close. Shlishit, the third sound, that has become the time lahadlik et haner. It's the time to now to light the Shabbat candles. Divri Rav Natan. That's the opinion of Rav Natan. Yehuda Nasi Omer. Yehuda Nasi says the third blow of the shofar was shlishit lachalot tefillin. That it's time to take off the tefillin. As you know, the wearing of the tefillin was the whole day. They wore tefillin. I'll say it like this: the time of wearing tefillin was the whole day, and in the time of the Gemara, there were still many people that wore tefillin the whole day. And since Shabbat is not a time of tefillin, because we have Shabbat, one reason is Shabbat is an ot, ki oti, it's oti lo'olam, and that's a sign, and therefore tefillin is also a sign. You don't need the sign on Shabbat, because you have the sign of, you don't need the sign that tefillin serves of the connection between the Jewish people and Hashem that's served by the Shabbat. Therefore, there's no mitzvah of tefillin on Shabbat. That's why, because there's no mitzvah of tefillin on Shabbat, women are exempt from the mitzvah of tefillin, because tefillin is a time-bound mitzvah. The reason why we don't keep put on tefillin the whole day today is because, the main reason is because it's hard to keep our bodies clean. Can't emit any gas with tefillin, and therefore, that's why we don't wear the tefillin the whole day. But technically, we said on Friday, person for whatever reason did not put on tefillin in the morning. For some reason, if they were sick or whatever it was, the afternoon they will put on tefillin in the afternoon, any time of the day, because it is the zman of tefillin. The time of tefillin is the whole day.
So how did they do it without gas?
Say that again.
How did they do it back in the day without passing gas or staying? In other words, nothing changed.
Right.
Nothing
Unless
changed with our body, how our body works.
okay. Okay. That's unless they were able to. Maybe they trained their bodies well, perhaps. But even the people this morning, as the people were working, the blacksmith had his tefillin on. You know what I'm saying?
You can't take it off.
Yeah, you technically could take it off, but not everybody's able to take it off on time before they emit gas.
Maybe that's the kind of focus you need. Like, it's not that their bodies are different, it's that they
We're on top of
were
it.
on top of it, so they can handle it. Whereas maybe, I don't know, we would be.
on top of it the same
Yeah.
way. Okay, good point. So the Gemara says, so according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the third blow of the shofar was to tell the people it's time to take off your tefillin. And the fourth blow of the shofar was to tell the people it's time to light the candles, according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Now, Vishoeh, and then you wait the amount of time after, let's say, the third blow, you wait the amount of time that a person could go ahead and roast katan, the last preparation before the Shabbat, to roast a little fish, or kadel hadrik pat betanur, or to go ahead and to make your last challah run before Shabbat. They would take a piece of dough and they would stick it to the inside of the walls of the oven. Good morning, Ralph. So enough time to make that you should be able to put it in, and that should take a crust before Shabbat. Good morning, Ralph. V'tokea, then after that, then they would blow the fourth and the fifth and the sixth sound. V'tokea, Maria, Kia, Trua. Trua is a breaking sound. V'tokea, that what we call Trua is the tu, or tu, what we call Shvarim. That's also the Trua of the Torah is a breaking sound. It's not clear. Some explain it's not clear to us what is that breaking sound. So therefore we do either the breaking sound is either what we call a trua, a tu, or good morning, Simon, or the breaking sound is what we call shvarim, tu, or it's a combo of both, tu, right? Shvarim trua. Then they would do that. So that's why we do all the different combinations, and vishovet. And then after that, that will be a sign that all work is stopping now. We don't do any more malacha. No work is done. Now, the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. We are on 35b2 on the right side. Amar Shimon Gamliel. Shimon Gamliel stated, he says, the people from Babylon, they don't do it in this order that we said. We said you do the last sound that you blow is the tekiah sound, is the straight sound. Well, you know what they do as their last sound? Their last sound is the breaking sound, it's the true sound. And really, he's saying, Manas Babylonium. Morning, Nathan. Shetokin Umariyin, they do the tekiah. In the second set, instead of doing tekiah, tekiah, is tekiah trua, v'shovdim b'toch miriyin. And then they complete the sounds of the shofar with the trua, with the breaking sound, and not with the tekiah, not with a straight sound. And really, we should protest, but we can't protest. We're not able, we're going to see. We'll see why not. So he was at this point. He sounds like he is criticizing them for making they're making a mistake. They're making a mistake for that the last sound of the shofar, that the way their order is a trua, the breaking sound is at the end. So the Gemara interjects in the middle of this brayta. I mean, how can it be, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is saying, he's bemoaning, it seems, the fact that they're doing tekiah, trua, that they're ending off with tekiah and trua. But if they just do tekiah, trua, and then in the second set, that means they're only doing 5 sounds. First, tekiah, trua, tekiah. First set, 3 sounds. And then you're saying they're doing a tekiah and a trua, and they stop work as a result of the trua. And you're bemoaning the fact that trua is the last sound. Tekiah is supposed to be the last sound. But you told me you opened up by saying there's 6 blasts that need to do 6 sounds that are supposed to be done. And, yeah. And it seems like six the Gemara said, and you're saying only 5. So the Gemara it's only 5. So the Gemara shoots back. Ella shetokin v'chozrin v'tokin. They did it. They first went like this. They did. The second set, instead of doing tekiah, trua, tekiah, they did tekiah, and then trua. So they got 6 sounds. So everybody got the 6 sounds. But the question is, what the sound number 5, what's the order of 5 and 6? Is that the writer originally said you're supposed to, the writer, he understands, says you're supposed to go ahead and do, originally says that it should be tkiya to a tkiya. And the Babylonians, they're doing tkiya tua. And the Gemara says, why can't we do anything? Why can't we say anything? Minag avotehem bidehem. This is something that they have from their ancestors. Some learn that it actually there was a custom, and sometimes there's a custom that are done in a mistaken custom. And sometimes when there's a mistaken custom, either the people are not ready, sometimes they're not ready to change and stop doing what they were doing. Right? So there are some people that have mistaken customs, and therefore you feel like what can we do to them? That's how some learn the Gemara. I mean, okay. Now, generally, if someone has a wrong minhag, you're supposed to, hopefully you should be able to stop them, but sometimes it's hard to stop them. So the Gemara continues. Matni le Rabbi Yehuda le Rabbi Yitzchak Berei. Rabbi Yehuda taught Rabbi Yitzchak his son, and he said over a braita that the second sound of the shofar, you have it Ezra 35b2. Now we're turning the page to 30. We turn to 35b3, three paragraphs from the top. Rabbi Yehuda said over a braita, he taught it to his son the following: Shniya, the second sound of the shofar, lahadlik et haner, was for the purpose of lighting the Shabbat candles. The second blow of the shofar was an indication it's time to light. Now, so the Gemara says, Keman. This is not like any of the Tanaim that we listed before, meaning the Braita that seems to be telling us, the opinions of how it was done. Everybody agreed in that Braita that it was either the third or the fourth was to tell us about Shabbat candles. The first, everyone said in the Braita that we recorded, the first blow is for the people that are working in the fields. They gotta get first notice. They're further away. The second blow is for the people that are working in the city. But not that we never had. But you're saying that the second blow was for the people. Second blow was for the people for lighting the candles. That we don't have recorded as part of that order at all. So therefore, he's going to amend. He's going to say, that's what he says, Lokram Nata, Lokram Yudah Nasi. That's not in sync with any of the opinions. And we never had, if this opinion is authentic, that the second blow was to light the candles, that would have been recorded in the Braita that discusses this, would record all the important Tanaim for this law. So Ella, the Gemara says you have to say, Rabbi Yehuda, when he was telling his son, he wasn't saying the second blow is for the people to start lighting the candles. Ella shlishit, he was saying this Rabbi Yehuda is an Amora, a later rabbi. He is saying over an early text of an early rabbi, a Braita, but he's taking a position. He's saying the third was lahadlik et haner, not like the opinion that says that the third was to take off the tefillin.
Send somebody over.
Morning mark, and the fourth was lahadlik et haner. Rather, the third was lahadlik et haner. Command Reb Natan, like Reb Natan's opinion. Okay, Tana Rabbi Shmuel. The Beit Midrash Rabbi Shmuel has a little different the teaching of regarding these laws. Sheish tekiyot token erev Shabbat. Maybe it's elaborate a little bit. We'll see any differences. 6 sounds were blown on erev Shabbat. Number one, when they began blowing the first tekiyah, the people that were in the fields, Mal'ador. You have to stop digging. Malach Rosh. Yeah, we are on 35b3. It's time on the first column, bottom. It's time to stop digging. It's time to stop melach rosh, stop plowing. Any type of work that would be that you're supposed to be doing in the field, it's time to stop the work in the field. That was the first blow of the shofar. And the people would start coming. They started to gather together. All the workers in the field are getting ready to come right into the city. But then the Brighter says an interesting point. The ein krovim rashayim likanes ad sheyavo hachokim.
They're going to come by.
Yeah,
They have to enter.
Great, okay. Thanks.
They all have to enter together. That means to say, if let's say the fields are over a certain area, right? So let's say there's a couple of miles of fields, or I don't know, whatever. And if everybody's going, if the first people who enter first, I don't know how many miles it was, but whatever, the first people who enter first, then the people in the city will think that the people that entered later did not heed the call of the shofar, and they were just, kept on doing their work in the fields. And right, it doesn't look good for the people that come in late, and it looks like they weren't interested in paying attention to the shofar. So therefore, they wait till they all come. Now, obviously, if it doesn't make sense that we're talking about that people are waiting an hour for everybody else to come. So, however the situation was, so they're waiting for everybody, and they all come in together. They all enter together. Like Nathan said, people shouldn't suspect that the people. It doesn't look. It looks bad for them. Now, v'dayin chaniyot ptuchot, and the stores were still open. Utrisin munachin, and they had their shutters, if you want to call it, the way see, so what it meaning, they had like a little box or a little store, and they would take like the windows, they would come out, call them the windows, or whatever, like doors, like the windows. They come down and they would put it, originally it was served as this, and then they put it down on the table. It was like a table, and they put their wares on the table. So that's what trisim. So vadai trisim munachim on the pegs. They had little pegs to hold it up, and that was their table. But when they blew the second sound, of the shofar, they start trisim. You got to go ahead and take the merchandise off. Let's lift up the trisim. Then put the merchandise back into this little store and close it with those shutters. We'll close it. Good morning, Asaf. And then Allah Khaliyot. And then they locked the stores, and they went back home. However, Vadayin Chamin Munachin Al Gabekira, they still had certain hot liquids that were on top of the stove. And they would use this liquid. Here it says they used the liquid. Rashi says, in the days of the Gemara, the wine was extremely strong, and they needed to dilute it very well with water, large amounts of water, and they used interesting hot water to dilute the wine. So they had the hot water still on the stove at that point, still ready for the third blow. And they had the food that they had prepared, that they had cooked in order to eat on Shabbat. And when they blew the third sound of the shofar, silek hamesalek, the person would remove the pots that they prepared for Friday night, because they didn't want to. The way they would use these foods for Friday night, and obviously we're going to see more about the halachot, about they didn't want to leave it on the fire. It sounds like you can't leave food on a fire when Shabbat comes, right? So we're going to see about that. So we'll see. There's a whole discussion in the Gemara. We'll discover, and we'll learn, and we'll go through the whole story. You'll see if you could leave it directly on a fire or not directly on a fire. So here we see from the Gemara that they went ahead and they removed the pots before Shabbat. God bless you. V'hitmin hamatmin, and they would insulate the pots that they would, whoever wanted to, anything that they wanted to insulate, keep it warm. They would insulate, and we'll see more about that. What are you allowed to? We saw about that a little bit before, that you only can insulate before Shabbat with something which will not add heat. Hitmin hamatmin, v'hidlik hamadlik, and then the people would start lighting the candles. So we're only up to number 3 on the. They just blew the show for the third sound, and now they went ahead and now you go ahead and light the candles, and the shoher, and there's time to kedei sliyat da katan, which would seem to indicate one way to learn the Gemara is that time, if you want to roast a little fish, you have time now, it's still time after candle lighting time to, meaning there was not, some want to say from here, they did not necessarily accept the Shabbat with the candle lighting, because it says that they go ahead and roast the fish. Or the hadbik pat there's enough time not to put the last, if you need to throw a piece of dough into the oven and stick it against the wall to make your challah for Shabbat, there's enough time to that. V'tokeya u'maria v'tokeya. And then they would go ahead and blow the shofar. Then they would blow sound number 4 of tekiah. Then they would blow a truah and a tekiah. The second set of the, to make it a total of 6 sounds, v'shovet. And that last set of tekiah, truah, tekiah, that was the time to tell everybody you can't do anything for Shabbat. Meaning, when we originally said the second sound was in the city, stop doing work. That means doing work like business type of work, professional type of work. But you were still doing your preparations for Shabbat. But now, after the blow number 6, now it means Shabbat is right. What? Right. So it seems the way commentary writes over here is when the last blow of the shofar means now the time of Shabbat is now right here, coming right now. So it's like right before sunset. That's what it was, or right before adding a couple of minutes for Shabbat, like adding a couple of minutes. Nobody said you could. We just again meaning
Work, they wouldn't hold
right. So right. Exactly when Shabbat is, but this fits is whatever that time that was called Shabbat, right? Meaning if you hold meaning say it again. Right. We said on the last time when we spoke, we said that we say we in halacha we consider the first shkiyah, the first setting of the sun, we call bein hashmashot, and bein hashmashot is a time that you can't. That twilight, if we're calling that twilight, we're going to say that you can't do work. It's a Torah concern that you might be violating the Shabbat from that time. So that would be how we in halacha we treat, and therefore, according to that, the shofar blowing would be right before that moment. That would be the last bell. I mean, they already gave you on blow number 3 or blow number 4 to light the candles. And there was time, we see clearly from the Gemara, the way some learned the Gemara. Again, it's clear from the Gemara, there was time from the lighting of the candles. See, we talk about the 18 minutes. We see they had time from lighting candles to roast a little fish, Mark, or take dough, put it into the oven, and let it wait enough time that it should crust. Because it has to reach a certain. You can't just put it in right a moment before Shabbat. Then you get other issues like. After that, right? After you did. Right. That right. After right. So we would call sundown exactly. What we would call sundown, the last blow is that's it. That's what it would seem, and we're going to look at the Shulchan Aruch in a moment soon. That would be the last blow.
As far as when this time.
You think we're more accurate today
Okay,
with
very good.
clocks?
Say it again. Meaning at this point of the Gemara, we're going to see, you know what, let's do a little piece of the Gemara further. That on one rabbi is going to say, hey, by the way, there's still time to do something. Listen to that now. Meaning, we just said a moment ago, it looks like the first commentary says, it's over, Shabbat is here, right? Once, the sixth blow. And now comes a new rabbi, which that's why we need him to come to shed light on this matter. You know what? Shamati, I heard a big chidush. What's the big chidush that I heard? If you want to light after you didn't light on the third blow or on the fourth blow. And not only you didn't light on the which was the official blow, the official lighting time was the third blow, let's say. You didn't light the third blow. And you didn't even light the fourth blow, the fifth blow, the sixth blow. It's already past the time for the fish to roast. And they already did the sixth blow. I heard a big chidush. You can still light. Let's see. So meaning at this point we're saying that we're going to see how the Gemara is going to develop it. He heard it's not yet that the sixth blow did not indicate the Shabbat. The Shabbat is here yet. There was still time that they gave from the sixth blow. Let's see. Shamati shembola hadlik achat shesh tekiyot. I heard if you want to blow after the sixth tekiyot, madlik. If you want to light after the six blows, you could. Now, where did he get this from? Right? We just said a moment ago that it said in the Breita that we recorded that after the sixth blow, right? Then you have the sixth blow. The shoftim, they rested. So it sounded like, right? The language was Tokea, Maria, Vishovet. Right? The word right for you is Shovet is Shabbat. You got to rest. And now he goes ahead and he's right. So it sounds like until now everything we learned is the sixth blow, you have to rest. Finished. No more. And what did you say, Mark?
Lights out.
Lights out. And now he says, I heard a big chidush that if you want to blow after the sixth, if you want to do work light the candles after the sixth, madlik. Which would mean to say, which would sound like, you know what, maybe other things you shouldn't do. Well, we're going to still get, there's still time, we'll allow you, the allowance is still not yet suffix that right there. It's still not the time of Shabbat, because Shaharei Nasachamim Shir. The rabbis gave a time for after the blowing of the six sounds, Lechazan Knesset. The one who blew the shofar, let's think about him. The guy who blows the shofar the shofar has to take the shofar home. Where did he go? He went on top of the roof. He went on top of the roof in the center of the place, the highest place, not the center. Rashi says there was a special roof that was designated in the highest place of the city, and that's where and in the middle over there, he blew over there. And from there, he has to go ahead and bring his shofar home. So he has to bring his shofar home. So Shabbat didn't come yet. You have to worry. So obviously, we have to give time for him. You know, with the guy who's calling Shabbat, you can't say the second he blows the shofar. It's a minute before, right before Shabbat. He has to go. He has to get home. You know, it's interesting. But Ashkenazim, you know, Hagbah. You know how Hagbah is done by Ashkenazim. They stand up and they walk back and they sit down with the Torah. Then there's a guy who's rolling the Torah and putting on. So the halacha, Glila. So the halacha says, don't start. Then they read the Haftorah. Don't start the Haftorah until they finish rolling. You got to worry about everybody else has the Chumash in place. But what about the guy who's rolling and the person who's holding the Torah? We have to care about that guy too. Wait until they finish, then start. You're off sides if you already start because he already put that down. So here also we have to worry. We have to worry about the guy who blew the shofar, and it takes time for him to get home. And it's mukseh. Right? It's mukseh, or if it's a place where there's no eruv, will be a problem of carrying on Shabbat. Right? So like Mark said. Right, so very good. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Therefore, the Gemara says, we see that there has to be time from the end of the blowing to the beginning of the beginning of the Shabbat. So the Gemara says, I mean, Shabbat cannot start by the end of the blowing. You have to worry about this guy. So Amalo, so different Tana said, Amalo, if that's the case, that you're saying words that are going to be it's going to be different for every situation. Because how far, where does the Shamash live? Does he live across the street from the shul? From the highest place of the city where he blew? He lives right next door. He lives a few blocks away. It's going to come out. There's not going to be a set time. And the rabbis generally will not, when they make a takana, they wouldn't make, every time will be a different situation. So that's not the norm that the rabbis would want to do such a thing. And every town, in this town, you have 5 minutes from the time he blows, and the next town you have 10 minutes. You can't run a country, you can't run a community morning. By every time it's going to be a different, people not on top of their game. You come to Englewood, it's one thing. You come to Great Neck, it's another thing. Every place is different, depending on where the shamash, the one who blew the shofar, lived, how far he was away from the highest place in town. So the Gemara says, therefore he said the rabbis didn't do it that way. Ella, Shabbat enters right after they blew this, right after the sixth, because what did they do? They had us right after, like we said before, Shabbat enters right after the blow of the sixth sound, because Makom Snua Yesh Lechaz Rosh Gago. They would make a special private area, they put like a box or something on the top of the roof, that he could just put the shofar right there. He could deposit the shofar, right, Simon? He blows the shofar, he blows it. We're talking about Erev Shabbat. Before Shabbat, they wouldn't tell the people about getting ready for Shabbat. So he blew the shofar, the sixth sound, and right after the sixth sound, they had a special place on the roof where he could put his shofar, and he would just deposit it right there. You know, it's like people come to shul, they drive their car before Shabbat to shul, they have a place to put their keys, right? He had a place to go ahead and put his shofar, and Shesham Maniach shofar, he leave the shofar right there, like Mark said, She'ein metaltalin lo the shofar, you can't carry a shofar or trumpets because you can't move it. You can't move it. So not the word carry. You can't metaltel, meaning you can't transfer it because of the muksa problem. Even if you can't even put it into a shita yachid. You can't bring it right downstairs into the house. So therefore, that's what the Gemara says. Now in Shulchan Aruch, the Shulchan Aruch says, Rabbi Yosef Karo writes in Siman and Velv and Hilchot Shabbat, when the Jewish people will be Yeshuvah, when in Eretz Israel, when we had the whole Jewish community in Israel, they would blow on Friday six sounds in order to get the people to stop doing work, in order to get ready for the Shabbat. So the people, they understood the need to help the people. Now the Ramah says, in many holy cities, they have a custom that when it's within a half hour to an hour to Shabbat, the Shliach Tzibur announces, there's a public announcement, get ready to prepare yourself for Shabbat, and that is instead of the blows of the sounds that they had in those days. So when you make your own town, everybody, you could do that. You can have someone go, you can have that announcement, and he says that is appropriate to do in all places, just like we had a nice announcement Thursday night for Baruch Aleinu, right? I was davening with somebody Friday night. We had a Shabbaton, and one of the boys said, Rabbi, I wasn't in shul for Thursday night. I wasn't in shul Friday. I didn't even know. So, if you don't, so we made the announcement. You should know we started. People have to, before Mincha, we had our whole minyan, Shabbat after Friday afternoon. He didn't know. You got to be in it to win it. But we got to announce for the people, right? So that's why we announced. The people that's why Mark's going to be sending out to all his contacts to remind all the people. They have to remember to say, because the halach is the first 30 days, if you're not sure if you said it or not yet, most probably you didn't say it. Most probably you said Barucheinu and you have to go back. So people need just a nice, gentle reminder. At the same time, you could wish, looking forward to a beautiful Hanukkah. You could use it as, if you have to know how to package, to know the marketing, Want to wish everybody in advance that Hanukkah's coming, very excited. And also, don't forget, right, is it all in the packaging? Don't forget, we started saying Baruch Leinu, because this was a tough one, Thursday night,
Thursday.
end of the week, and you run into Shabbat, and then what's the Shabbat? So, and therefore the Chafetz Chaim says, in very large cities, it is also very appropriate. There should be people that go around to the cities, to go to the stores. People should close their stores. There's a big problem. People were keeping the shops open for Shabbat. The Chafetz Chaim writes this 100 years ago or so. They should tell the people to close the stores and to light the candles. And he says we find in many big cities there are actually groups of people that are focused on the supervision of Shabbat and how special their portion is. They're helping the Jewish people do the right things, and they're going to have, as a result of that, children that are going to be great Gedolei Yisrael. Have a great day, everybody.
Rabbi,
Yes,
I'm gonna try to stop by this week. So do I get the fourth?
great. Thank you very much. Ralph.
This
That's
is the
great.
third. So do I get the
Yes.
fourth one? And it says four, okay.
Great. So
Okay.
Ralph, you're going to get volume 2 of Shabbat.
Oh, volume
Which
2,
maybe
okay.
of Shabbat, which might be
Right.
their fourth volume of the Art Scroll set. Brachot had 2 volumes. Shabbat you're up to the second volume of Shabbat. Remember,
And
the
this one.
second volume of Shabbat.
Okay,
Okay.
second
So it's probably
volume.
number 4 on the counting. Have a great
Okay.
day, Asaf. Good day, Ralph.
Bye.
Because technically, you're right, Mark. 1 candle is enough for Shabbat. Technically, according to basic law. 2, the custom of 2 is Keneged Zachor v'Shamor. You had that tomorrow. We have the Gemara. He came